My kids dumped me at this nursing home and just vanished from my life. 3 whole years without a visit, without even a phone call. That is, until they found out I had $2.3 million tucked away. Then, boy, did they come running back, bringing fancy gifts, talking all sweet, calling me dear old dad. But my 17-year-old granddaughter did something I never saw coming. And you know what happened after that? That's when I finally learned who really loved me. Look, if you want to hear this whole story, and trust me, it still gets me worked up just thinking about it, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. These real-life stories really hit you in the heart, and I know you're going to feel it just like I do every time I tell it. So here we go. Let me start from the very beginning. My name's Sebastian, but everyone's always called me Seb. I'm 80 years old, and I've got a story that still hits me right in the chest. I've been living here at St. Vincent's nursing home for 2 years now, ever since my Nancy passed away. And let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that bitter taste of finding out people only remember you when you've got something they want? Well, then you'll understand what I went through. My room here has this window that only opens halfway. I spend a lot of time looking out when the day's winding down. There's always that smell of cleaning stuff in the air, mixed with my old radio playing those songs that remind me of home. At the foot of my bed, I keep my beat-up old slippers. The nurses keep trying to toss them out, but I won't let them. These old things have history, I tell them. This is my world now. But it wasn't always like this. Let me tell you how I ended up here. It all started 4 years back when I lost my Nancy. We were married 50 years, you know? 50 years of waking up next to her, sharing morning coffee, listening to her hum while she cooked. Then one day, nothing but silence. After she was gone, everything felt different. The house got too big, too quiet. But the worst part? My own kids changed too. That hospital had that awful smell that just sticks to you. You know the one. Cleaning chemicals mixed with sadness. When Nancy died, I just stood there in that hallway. Didn't know what to do with myself. It had been just me and her for so long. I went back home and everything looked the same, but it felt completely empty. Her coffee mug was still sitting in the sink. Her knitting was still on her favorite chair. 50 years of memories all around the house, and there I was, all alone in the middle of it. Those first few weeks, Walter and Claire came by more often. I thought maybe losing Mom had brought us closer together, that we'd lean on each other. Boy, was I wrong. It was just the start of changes I didn't see coming. Dad, you can't stay in this big house all by yourself, Claire would say. She was always the practical one, always making decisions for everyone else. Walter wasn't so sure. I don't know, Claire. He's always taken care of himself. Dad's been independent his whole life. But Claire kept pushing. This is different, Walter. He's getting old and now he's all alone. What if something happens? Who's going to look after him? I heard these conversations, pretended I wasn't listening, but every word felt like a punch to the gut. They talked about me like I couldn't think for myself anymore. The nursing home idea started creeping in little by little. It's what's best for you, Dad, they kept saying. You'll have people to talk to, medical care, activities to keep you busy. Always, what's best for me. But I knew it was really what was easiest for them. I remember the day I moved out. Just one old suitcase, the same one Nancy used to pack for our little trips when we were younger. They split up my furniture like I was already dead. Walter took the TV, Claire got Nancy's china cabinet. I just watched it all happen. Promise you'll come see me, I said when we got to St. Vincent's. Of course, Dad. Every weekend, Walter said. Absolutely, Claire added. That was the first promise they broke. Wouldn't be the last. The visits started off regular. Every Sunday, Walter would show up, sometimes with Claire. But I could tell it felt like a chore to them. They'd ask if I was okay, if I needed anything. Hang around for an hour, then take off. Always had work to do, always had somewhere else to be. Then it became every other week. Then once a month. Then, well, you can guess where this is going. The phone stopped ringing. I'd sit there watching other folks get visitors, grandkids running around, whole families coming for Sunday lunch, and me? I just watched. But there was one person who didn't forget about me. Emma, my granddaughter, Walter's girl. She was always different from the rest. Even after her parents stopped coming, she kept showing up. She'd bring me homemade brownies in a little plastic container. Made 'em just like Grandma Nancy taught me, she'd say with this smile that could light up the whole room. We'd play cards at the little table in my room. She'd tell me about school, her friends, boys she liked. Grandpa, tell me about your store again. Tell me about that time you sold 3 fridges in one day. I'd tell her the story and she'd really listen. Not just being polite, she actually cared. One day she saw my beat-up slippers and said, "Grandpa, let me get you some new ones." "Don't need new ones, sweetheart. These have history." "What kind of history?" "Your grandma bought these for me about 10 years back, said I deserved comfortable slippers after being on my feet all day at the store. Last thing she ever gave me." Emma didn't push it. She understood. You know the difference between someone visiting because they have to and someone visiting because they want to. It's simple. People who really care show up without watching the clock. That was Emma. She'd come Saturday morning and stay till sunset. Now I gotta tell you a secret I kept my whole life. Ever since I opened my little general store when I was about 25, I was always careful with money. Nancy knew, of course. It was our secret. "Seb, you're like a squirrel," she'd tease me, always saving up for winter. And I was. Every dollar I didn't need to spend, every bit of change left over, I saved it all. Wasn't being greedy, just careful. My dad always told me, "Son, money in the bank means you won't be a burden when you're old." Over all those years, I saved up $2,300,000. That's a lot of money, right? But we always lived simple. Never showed off, never bought fancy stuff we didn't need. Why didn't I tell my kids? Because money changes people. I wanted to be loved for who I was, not what I had. But secrets don't stay buried forever. It was just a regular Saturday. Emma was visiting, we were playing cards. When my room phone rang, it was Robert from Wells Fargo. "Mr. Sebastian, this is Robert from the bank. I'm calling about something strange with your savings account. Someone tried to take out, let me check here, $2,300,000. My blood went cold. Emma was sitting right there, heard every word. "No, Robert. Nobody tried to take anything out. Must be some computer mistake." "Oh, okay then. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Sebastian, it's just such a big amount we had to double-check." When I hung up, Emma was staring at me with huge eyes. "Grandpa? You're rich?" I let out a long breath. "Was supposed to stay a secret, honey. But why didn't you ever tell anyone?" "Because I wanted to know who loved me for real." Emma got quiet for a minute. "What do we do now?" "For now, this stays between us, okay? Don't tell anybody, not even your parents." She promised to keep quiet. But you know teenagers, sometimes things just slip out. 3 days later, Emma came to see me crying. "Grandpa, I messed up." "What happened, honey?" "I was on the phone with my friend Julia, and I forgot Mom was listening. I said something about your money. She heard everything. My heart sank, but I couldn't be mad at her. She was just a kid." "What did your mom say?" "She started asking all these questions. How much money? Where you keep it? If you told Dad." Then she called him right away. That was it. The secret was out. Less than a week later, Walter showed up. First time in 4 months. "Hey, Dad, brought you something nice." It was this expensive watch, the kind that costs more than most people make in a month. "Thought you might like to look sharp," he said. I played dumb. "Funny how you just happened to come by today, son." "Oh, Dad, I've been missing you. We haven't been close enough lately." But I could see it in his eyes. The way he talked, the way he looked around, something had changed. From that day on, it was like flipping a switch. Suddenly, I had kids again. Walter started coming every week, always brought some gift, always had news to share. "Dad, you should think about investing that money. Savings accounts don't pay much these days." Claire jumped right in too. Showed up 2 days later with homemade cookies. "Remembered how much you love these." Funny thing, in 50 years she'd never remembered I liked cookies before, but I could tell the difference. Their hugs felt fake, empty. They'd show up all dressed up and smelling like perfume, but their eyes gave them away. Soon as the conversation turned to money, they got real interested, real fast. "Dad, don't you think you deserve better care? Maybe a private doctor, a nicer room," Claire would suggest. "How am I going to pay for all that?" "Well, Dad, with all that money you've got saved up." There it was. Now they were admitting they knew. Walter was more careful than Claire. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me funny, like he wanted to say something but couldn't get it out. Once he started to, "Dad, I feel bad about not visiting more." But he never finished. The guilt was there, but the greed was stronger. Claire was more direct. "Dad, this place is too basic for you. With your money, you could be somewhere much nicer. 50 years they never cared where I lived. 50 years they never worried if I was happy or sad. Now all of a sudden everything was about my comfort. I decided to test them. During one visit I said, 'You know what, I'm thinking about giving some of this money to the church. The chaplain here wants to fix up the chapel.' The reaction was instant. Walter went white as a sheet. Claire's smile got real tight. 'Oh no, Dad. You're fine right here with family, no need to go giving money away.' 'But I've always supported the church.' 'That's different now, Dad. You need to think about family first.' Family. Interesting word coming from people who forgot I existed for 3 years. About 2 weeks after that, Emma came to see me with red, puffy eyes. 'Grandpa, I have to tell you something.' Her voice was shaking. 'What's wrong, honey? You look upset.' 'I heard Mom and Dad talking. They said some really awful things.' 'Like what?' 'They said they can't let you waste the money, that they need to make sure they get their share, and they said after they figure out the inheritance stuff, they're going to move you somewhere cheaper.' That hit me like a truck, not because I was surprised, deep down I already knew. It hurt, because knowing for sure is always worse than wondering. 'Honey, It's not right, Grandpa. What they're doing isn't right,' she cried on my shoulder. Right then I knew I still had one person who really loved me. 'Emma, I want to ask you something.' 'What, Grandpa?' 'Want to help me show them what really matters? You brave enough for that?' Her eyes lit up. 'Yeah, Grandpa, I am.' That's when we came up with our plan. It wasn't about getting back at them. It was about setting everyone free. I was going to write a check, call the family for a special lunch, and Emma was going to do what needed doing. 'I'm going to write this check, but it's just for show, okay? The real money stays safe in the bank. We're just going to show them what's really important.' 'I get it, Grandpa. We're going to show them love can't be bought.' 'Exactly, honey.' We spent the whole week planning it out. Emma wasn't some angry teenager acting out. She was a brave girl protecting her grandpa. 'You sure about this, Grandpa?' 'I'm sure, honey. Time to find out who's real and who's fake.' I called everyone for Sunday lunch. 'I want the whole family here. Got something important to tell you all.' Walter came early, all nervous energy. Claire showed up looking excited. Even some cousins I hadn't seen in years appeared. What a coincidence. The dining room was busy that Sunday. Other residents eating at their tables, staff moving around, the usual weekend buzz. But at our table, you could cut the tension with a knife. The smell of Sunday roast couldn't cover up how nervous everyone was. 'Well,' I started, 'I called you all here because I've decided to do something I've been thinking about.' Walter and Claire's eyes got bright with excitement. They even stopped eating. 'I've decided to split up my inheritance while I'm still alive. No point making you wait till I'm dead.' Complete silence. I could practically hear their hearts pounding. I pulled the check out of my shirt pocket, $2,300,000 written out nice and clear. 'This is what you all deserve.' Walter reached for it with shaky hands. Claire leaned forward, staring at that piece of paper like it was made of gold. It was like I'd disappeared. All they could see was the money. That's when Emma made her move. She took the check from my hand real gentle, looked at her parents and said in this strong voice I'd never heard from her, 'Grandpa, if love is real, it doesn't need money to prove it.' And she struck a match. The sound of that match lighting up seemed to echo through the whole dining room. People at other tables stopped talking. Everyone turned to look at us. Time seemed to stop. Emma touched the flame to the paper. The check started burning slow, the edges turning black, a lifetime of savings turning to ash. The whole dining room went quiet. Other residents watching, nurses stopping what they were doing. It was the kind of silence that changes everything. The smell of burning paper mixed with the coffee smell still hanging in the air. It was strange, but it felt like freedom, like all those years of pretending were burning up too. Walter sat there with his mouth hanging open, couldn't say a word. Claire tried to stand up but didn't want to make a scene in front of everyone. Dad, I wish it didn't have to be like this, Walter finally managed to say, and for the first time I saw some real feeling in his eyes. We didn't mean what, son? Claire just stared at the floor. For years they'd forgotten about me, and now, with everyone watching, the truth was right there, burning up with that paper. You can go now, I said, calmer than I expected to be. Now you know exactly what I'm worth to you. They left without looking back, embarrassed, uncomfortable, but mostly caught. Soon as we got out of the dining room, Emma whispered, "It was just paper, Grandpa. The real money's still in the bank." I smiled. My smart girl. After they left, I cried. Cried for the kids I lost. Cried for all those years hoping for love that wasn't there. Cried for fooling myself for so long. But mostly, I cried because I felt free. "Did I do the right thing, Grandpa?" Emma asked, hugging me tight. "You did perfect, honey. You did what I couldn't do myself." It hurt watching my kids walk out that day, but it hurt worse pretending for months that they loved me when they didn't. Now I knew exactly where I stood, and more importantly, who I could count on. Since that Sunday, Emma visits me officially. Every Saturday she shows up. We walk around the garden, take pictures together, laugh about silly stuff. And the money? Well, it's still sitting there in the bank safe and sound, but now I use it for things that actually matter. Bought Mr. Tony a wheelchair when his legs got bad. Paid for Mrs. Mary's dental work when she was in pain. And sure, I spoil my granddaughter with things she actually wants. Good ice cream, birthday presents she really likes. I learned something important at my age. $2.3 million can't buy you one real tear. Can't buy you a hug that means something. Can't buy you company from someone who actually cares. But a brave granddaughter who burns fake money to save real love, that's worth everything. Now I know I'm truly rich. Rich with real love, honest company. Someone who comes to see me because she wants to, not because she has to. What about you folks? Have you figured out who loves you for free? Who sticks around even when you've got nothing to offer? Because that's the only wealth that really counts. My old radio keeps playing those songs from way back. My beat-up slippers are still sitting by my bed. The window still only opens halfway. But when I look out now, I don't see loneliness anymore. I see Emma coming up the walk on Saturday, with that smile that lights up my whole day, and her little container of brownies made with love. Because when it's all said and done, what matters isn't what's in your bank account. It's who's in your heart. And me? I've got my granddaughter.